G'day pilgrims. Have you ever hit that moment where life feels like the bed's too short and the blanket's too small? Isaiah 28 says that's exactly what happens when we try to run life on our own terms without God. This chapter is wild. Isaiah throws us into a storyline we still recognise today, even though it was written 2,700 years ago. The same pattern keeps coming up. God strongly and firmly sweeping away the false props we lean on, because underneath all our noise and self-reliance, there's an eternal foundation waiting to be uncovered. And if we build on that, the rewards are unreal. Isaiah's big message is simple, but it's not easy. Pay attention to God's wisdom like a skilled farmer pays attention to his land. A farmer doesn't just chuck seeds wherever he feels like it. He reads the soil, the seasons, the weather. Every crop needs a different rhythm, a different touch. And that's what walking with God is like. Patient, attentive, personalised. But some people just don't want that. And Isaiah compares them to little babies who only want milk. Not because milk is bad, but because they refuse to grow up and learn the deeper story. And then Isaiah swings from the sublime to the confronting. In verse 5, he gives us this beautiful picture. In that day, the Lord of hosts will become a magnificent crown for the remnant of his people. That's the good bit. And then straight after, the disgusting bit. The priests and prophets stagger with alcohol. Their tables are covered with vomit. It's shocking, but that's the point. Isaiah is saying this is what God sees when his people stop paying attention to him. Not evil pagans, not outsiders, but it's his own spiritual leaders losing the plot. And then God says, all right then, now listen up, you scoffing rulers. It's kind of like that moment where a parent finally says enough. And then we get this really amusing and yet familiar image in verse 20. The bed you've made is too short, the blanket is too narrow. And that's what self-reliance feels like when it comes to eternal matters. No matter how hard we try to make life work, we end up exposed, uncomfortable, unfinished. Because we're trying to use finite brain power to solve infinite problems. And Isaiah circles back to the big truth. There is an infinite mind who cares for our welfare. And when we build on him, everything starts to click into its proper pattern, just like the farmer who knows exactly how to sow, harvest and thresh each seed in its own particular way. Here is the core truth. Verse 16, look, I am placing a foundation stone in Jerusalem, a precious cornerstone. Whoever trusts will never be shaken. Sound familiar? Jesus picked up on this and said, the stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. And he's talking about himself. Predicted in Isaiah, lived in history, recorded, and whether people love him or ignore him, we literally date our calendars around his life. So here's the question Isaiah keeps pressing on us. What will it take for us to pay attention to the one who claims to be the eternal, infinite solution to our shortfalls? Because the bed we make for ourselves will always be too small. But the foundation he offers will never be shaken. Remember, a chapter a day keeps the meaningless away. Love you guys.